Well, hello, boys and girls. It's Miss Pridmore, and this week we are talking about how characters change in a story. And today we're going to talk about how sometimes characters learn a lesson. Sometimes characters learn a lesson. Now, yesterday we read the story Listen, Buddy, and we talked about the lesson that Buddy learned. Do you guys remember this story? Yeah, it was really funny, right? Buddy learned what lesson? He learned that it's important to be a good listener, right? So under lesson here, I'm going to say, Buddy learned to listen carefully, right? We talked about yesterday how there's a difference between just kind of listening and listening carefully. That way, if mom asks for a slice of bread, you don't cut your bed apart. Poor Buddy, what a mistake, right? Well, today you listen to a different story. Abuela's Weave. Now, this word abuela means grandmother in Spanish. So this story is about a little girl, Esperanza, and her grandmother, Abuela. Yeah, what lesson does Esperanza learn? Well, if you notice in the beginning of the book, Esperanza is very worried that someone might pick on her grandmother's birthmark. Do you know what a birthmark is? It's a little mark on your skin that you're born with. It almost looks like a bruise, but you're born with it and it stays there. It doesn't hurt. But I guess someone in the story, before this story began, had picked on her grandmother's birthmark, and Esperanza was very concerned that when they went to town to sell their things at a market, that other customers might pick on her again. So what happened? Well, because of that, if you take a look, it says that Grandma pretended not to even know her. She didn't help Esperanza lift their heavy basket onto the bus. And she made sure that they sat 3 people apart. And she said that way, if customers were scared by Grandma's birthmark, that they would still at least buy Esperanza's weaving materials, right? So the things that she was selling. That must have been really hard for both of them. Can you imagine being on a bus and your grandmother's on the same bus, but you're pretending not to know her? That would hurt my heart. Yeah. So what ended up happening? Well, as we continue in the story, Esperanza is very nervous as she's walking through the town. She just feels worried about a lot of things, I think, about how big the crowd is, if they're going to like her things, if they're going to be mean to her grandmother. But what happened in the end of the story? At the very end, you can see how happy both Abuela and Esperanza are. That must be because people are buying their things and they love them. In fact, it says that they sold all of their weaving. And now you can see they don't have to pretend not to know each other on the way home. You see they're sitting beside each other, hand in hand. So I think Esperanza learned a couple of lessons. What do you think? Okay, so one thing, let's take a look at our board. It says Abuela's Weave, that's the title of the story. We're talking about the character Esperanza. She's the main character of this story. What lesson did she learn? Well, I think one, she learned to be proud of her gift, her weaving abilities, right? So she learned to be proud of her weaving talent, right? Yeah, I think by the end of the story, she realized she didn't have that much to worry about because her things were really good. Of course, people would want to buy them. Do you think there's another thing that she might have learned? I think she might have also learned that physical appearances aren't what's important. No one even mentioned her grandmother's birthmark when they were at the market. So I think that Esperanza learned not to be worried about physical appearances, especially because she could be so confident in her talent. That's a really great lesson that she learned. Okay, boys and girls, I hope you have a wonderful day.